I'm getting him. I got him! I got him! So long. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to answer the question I got asked the most on stream last night, and that's if Helldivers 2 is worth playing again. If you've been keeping up, it's been a rough few months since Into the Untested drop, so lighting this off, we're diving right into the main thing everyone wanted to know about, and that's hardlocking and performance. Initially, when we did see these patch notes and saw the game size go up to 150 gigs, everybody was like, here we go again, the game director line, whatever, right? Everybody was freaking out, and for some really weird reason, they didn't let everyone know in the patch notes that they added a beta branch to the game that drastically reduced the file size. When I initially glanced at it, I was like, oh, they reduced the file size by 15%. And then I saw it reduce the file size by 85%. It goes from 150 gigs all the way down to like 23. They ended up outsourcing this to Nixie, which is PlayStation's usual company for like porting their console games to PC. So I'm assuming they just took the console version of the game, ported it to PC, and just cleaned it all up. And I think they cooked super hard with this, like across the board. I feel like the game runs way better. And if you did want to opt into it, it's free for everybody on PC. You just right-click your game on Steam, you go to Properties, you just click on the drop-down in Betas, and then you just click the slim version of the game, then magically you have 20 gigabyte Helldivers. I'm also not sure whether this patch made the performance that much better, or if it's a combination of that and all the bloated and duplicated files being removed, but some people were saying they had massive performance gains switching from the 150 gig down to the 20. I personally just instantaneously uninstalled the 150 gig version of the game and put on the 20, and it was the smoothest experience of Helldivers that I've ever had since like last year, like when Omens of Tyranny came out. So literally 1 year ago was the last time the game ran this smooth for me. And like even during combat, tons of things going off, explosions everywhere, fire everywhere, my frame stayed like super stable. So this new 20 gig version of the game is basically the best version that we've had in a very substantial amount of time. Now, with that being said, some people were still having crash issues, and some people are still having hard locks. The CEO also responded to one of our community members, Zach, about this, saying that it's still being investigated. They are having a hard time 100% reproducing the freezes in the office, and that it happens more seldomly for him personally. So please don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking hard locking was never real. The CEO has said they've been working on it for quite some time now, and this, with the bad performance, was the main reason that the majority of the PC community left the game for a while. And personally, what I would really like to see Arrowhead do is make an official statement about hardlocking and the PC issues, then on their Zendesk like help website, open up a forum thread where people can submit their Windows crash logs and PC specs so that they can get to the bottom of this way faster. This is something that I think they should have just done immediately with the Into the Untested update, but for some reason they still haven't. And the main reason that I think they should do this is because it's been done already basically perfectly by Grinding Gear Games, the people that run Path of Exile. They had hardlocking issues when PoE 2 launched, and they have like a 500-page forum thread just dedicated to the entire thing so that people can very easily submit their feedback and like what's going wrong. And they managed to solve the vast majority of issues just by working together with their community. In Helldivers' case, they asked people to post all of their problems in a mega thread on Reddit, and then they deleted the mega thread in some kind of diabolical psyop, which made a bunch of rats start gaslighting people into pretending it never happened or that there was no problems, which is still insane to me. So until they push out something where we can all work together to help the people that are still having trouble playing, I will keep pushing for that because it's the right thing to do for the community. I also haven't hardlocked on any of my 3 computers yet. I did play a little bit on my 9900 X3D 5090 rig, and it ran like 165 FPS capped at 1440p with 3 1440p screens running at the same time, and it was super stable. But I mainly played on my 10700K 3080 with 128 gigs of RAM at about 80 FPS average on the same monitor setup while streaming off of the same computer last night. So I think this was like super good and pretty much the best case scenario. And it does seem that higher end computers are having more issues with the game. There was this interesting post on the Steam forums about it and the conflicts that this game engine has with modern PCs. I'm also assuming that Windows 11 plays a very large role in this, as well as a lot of game guard conflicts that we've seen in the past on other games as well. So if you are having issues on a newer computer, I guess the like stupid meme bullshit that we're reading is like, oh, just build a better computer. That's actually downgrade your computer to make it work better, I guess. Now, as for the rest of the update, I did think the balance patch that they did was a little bit weird, and it just kind of confuses me why they're so attached to the sway and drag changes they made in the past couple of updates. These two combined made a lot of weapons feel substantially worse, and I don't think that they were buffed accordingly to be in line with the new systems. The drag changes made all of the ballistic SMGs and pistols go from 0.6 to 1.2, which is doubling their damage fall off as the bullets travel through the air. So I think that they need to take another look at all of the weapons that they change and tweak or remove the change for things like the Senator and Reprimand. So they don't just have to keep juicing their damage up and up to compensate, which is what we're seeing them start to do now for these other weapons. The other really big one for me, way over anything else, like I don't think anything else in the game matters other than this, that I just can't make any sense of, are the sway changes. This genuinely just makes the game feel bad to play, and I have no idea how anyone who actually plays the game thinks that this was a good idea at all. Your reticle just randomly spins around your screen, making your shots literally just random. And it just makes the game frustrating to play. I think, like, maybe if my arms were broken, this would be a fine mechanic, but this shit's spinning around like a Beyblade, and it really makes me think about something Timothy Cain said. This was the lead dev for Fallout 1 and 2.
And then beyond challenge, beyond all that, is it fun for the player? Is it interesting for the player to interact with? If it's not, if it's just there to make the game challenging, it'll probably also make the game frustrating.
This really resonates with me on how I view games should be challenging, which to clarify is to prioritize being fun, cool, and interesting over anything else, and then just force you to make a lot of decisions and to react to what's happening on the screen properly. When I played MMOs in a high-end environment, even some of your best players have trouble making good decisions when there's just too much happening, and in a casual environment, people were constantly failing at even the simplest things with barely anything happening. And Helldivers is a very casual game, so I think this would trip up the majority of the player base, and the main reason that I say that is because it already happened in the past. When we had bugged patrols, it was just endless waves of hunters, and if you didn't position properly, and you didn't shoot the correct hunters in the right order, and it was just super simple stuff, people were complaining about just failing. I remember back then, like, we were dropping these massive 4,000 plus kill games. I was pulling people from my community. We were all owning. We were having a ton of fun on the game, but it was truly the most challenging version of Helldivers that I've ever played. And then all the posts back then, tons of people were saying that, like, most people could barely even do difficulty 7 because there was too many just hunters. So going back to the old spawns and having things like target priority and positioning as the difficulty slider in Helldivers make a lot more sense than some stupid RNG shooting mechanic. And now that performance is back up, I think they need to start juicing the spawns again. And I think that over Christmas vacation, because the devs like to talk about being the next FromSoft, they should all really just go do a complete playthrough of Sekiro. This is my favorite game to talk about because I think it's a perfect balance of skill expression in my eyes. You don't feel bad when you lose because it's just push the right buttons at the right time. There's a lot of forgiving things, there's a lot of punishing things, but no matter what, it's 100% your fault if you fail, and it's just on you to learn and improve to get better. But on Helldivers, like RNG shooting mechanics aside, sometimes you just get ragdolled through a mountain, and these random mechanics that you have no control over and completely break my immersion personally, and it makes me think that they're bad for the game. I also think that just like touching a Bile Titan's leg, they've had this fixed in the past, but they've unfixed it now where like you just touch it and you instantly explode. You can't even do the coolest thing I thought of doing this update, by the way, was hover packing up and chainsawing a Bile Titan's head, and you can't do that because if you touch the wrong spot, you instantly explode. Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me the way that they're currently doing the difficulty and the sliders, because it's not very challenging. And I think no matter what they do, if they keep going down this current path, the game's never going to be like fun and challenging at the same time the way that it used to be in the past. And they've already done it right so many times that I think they could barely easily bring it back. But for now, the difficulty on the game hasn't really changed. After testing a bunch yesterday, the squids have some awesome spawns over on the moon. The bugs were fairly inconsistent, and the bots were about the same as usual. Now, as for the rest of the patch notes, the only big L for me was the factory strider's not flying away anymore. And as for the warbond, I will be doing a full review for this, for the different weapons. But just as a quick TLDR, Python Commandos feels kind of weird for me because everything is honestly just really cool. It's fun to use. But they all have these really weird hangups that make the weapons just feel less fun to use. Like the chainsaw, for instance, has a very weird animation set that I really don't like because it makes it so that you don't stick into the target a lot of the time. And it really just made me feel like I should be able to hold R and B and then just like rev my chainsaw up and then just like go into something starting at AP4 maybe, or just like at least make sure that it sticks into the target that I want to saw, because like I couldn't really saw meatballs at all. Tanks and factory striders were okay, but it just ended up feeling really bad because it is a support weapon. It should be really powerful as a support weapon, and it kind of feels like it just glances off things half the time. I've also been seeing a lot of controversy about the minigun, people saying it needs to be heavy pen or whatever. Like, we don't need to have that conversation right now. I'm sitting here, like, if you actually played the game with it, every single person has the same real complaint. The animation lock is not fun to deal with. Like, you can't dive or move after you start shooting it. You just kind of flop to the ground instead of diving away. And in Helldivers, having something that stops you from diving altogether feels really weird, man. Like, I don't know. Honestly, it's just not fun to play with for that simple reason, because when you're shooting it, it's awesome. The second something gets to you, you're like, well, now I can't move. And that's my biggest hang up with it right now. I don't even care about the brace animation at the start. I just don't want to be animation locked in place. So if they just made it so you stop shooting when you like dive, like, that would be perfectly fine. And adding something like a slow walk that ate stamina would go a really long way in making the weapon more fluid. And honestly, just holding RMB down should keep the weapon spinning, I'm just saying. But either way, the fluidity is the issue for me. And the main reason it needs to be able to do that over anything else is a lot of enemies have magical, weird, invisible hitboxes around them that you can't shoot over or around. Bile spears have been the most notorious for this for a really long time, and I think with those changes, the minigun would feel infinitely better to use. Then after that, we can cry about it having less ammo than the Stalwart and magazines. But fluidity that makes sense for the weapon is the most important to me over anything else. Also, if you were on the fence about buying the warbond, the hot dog is quite literally one of the flat-out best stratagems in the entire game. And as a backpack, I think for me now, after just playing with it yesterday, it rivals the supply pack for a ton of loadouts and lets you have way more really fun options to mess around with. So I think that makes the warbond worth it by itself. I'll also be updating my priority list later this week after I play with the stuff a little bit more, so I just get a better feeling for it. I can figure out all the animation cancels and all the weird desync that we can cause with it. But over anything else right now, I think the Superstore double barrel shotgun is ridiculously fun to use, and you should probably pick up all of the weapons as they rotate through the store just so you have them, because if you don't, sometimes they're gone for like 5 to 6 weeks or just never come back, like the Killzone stuff. So there is some really bad FOMO there, but at least you can earn it for free, so it is what it is. I also think that this patch wasn't all that we're going to get for the rest of the year. A certain someone announced that they're going to the Game Awards on Twitter, so I'm assuming we're going to get another content drop there. And I also think that Helldivers 2 is worth trying out this update. Not a ton of stuff changed gameplay wise, but my entire take again is just that if you weren't having issues, just keep having fun as you were. And if you are having problems, then I hope that we can bring enough attention to these real issues so that we can all enjoy blasting with the boys again.